This is the Practical Homeopathy Podcast, episode number 144.
Hi, I'm Joette Calabrese, and I welcome you to our healthcare movement, yours, mine, and the countless men and women across the globe who have retaken control of their family's health with practical homeopathy. So, for the next few minutes, let's link our arms as I demystify homeopathy, what was once considered an esoteric paradigm, into an understandable, reproducible, safe, and effective healthcare solution available to all. This is the medicine you've been searching for, my unique brand of homeopathy, Practical Homeopathy.
My name is Kate, and I want to welcome you back to the podcast. Whether you're new here or have been using homeopathy for a long time, we are so glad that you're here, and I can't wait for you to meet our guest today. Her name is Jane. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Kate. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome.
I'm very humbled.
As am I. I look forward to hearing your stories. Well, actually, I've heard it, but those who are listening have not heard your story yet. And so let's just dive right in. Tell us where you're from and a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm almost 60 years old. I've been a physical therapist for over 30 years. I've been married for 30 years, born and raised on a farm in the Midwest. And after high school, I left during the farm crisis. I went to California as a nanny, went to college to be a physical therapist, stayed in California and traveled for 10 years. Then I came back home to help my dad and my mom when my dad was ill, started dating my childhood family friend, and we got married. He had bought his family farm that he was raised on, and it's an organic farm. So we've been organically farming for many years. We raised 9 children. We have 1 child still at home, and we homeschooled them all through high school. And we have 12 grandchildren. And gradually through those years, we transitioned from what the mainstream medical was to using more alternative medical, natural health, and now homeopathy, which has been great. You know, we feel that we love the homeopathy because it helps empower us to take care of ourselves and our families. Doesn't mean we don't use mainstream medical when we need it. My intro to homeopathy, since I lived in California, I heard of homeopathy, dabbled in it over the years, using arnica mainly. That was the main thing that seemed to always come back to, like using it topically or with the pellets. Probably 15 or 20 years ago, there was a mom's homeschool meeting, which featured 2 homeschool moms. And that was about 40 minutes away from me. And they were speaking about homeopathy, but it was classical homeopathy. I loved it. I thought it was so interesting, but I just could not wrap my head around classical homeopathy. So I abandoned basically my journey with homeopathy at that time. Fast forward about 2 or over 2 years ago, I belonged to a homeschool email group, and a homeopath, Wendy, on her journey, she introduced us to homeopathy, and she invited us to a Gateway 1 class in homeopathy, one of Joette's classes, the first class, I guess. And I took that with my sister and 2 of my daughters, and basically I was hooked. Right away, took Gateway 2, started using it right away. I still practice some physical therapy, and now I've integrated using homeopathy, and it's really helped my practice quite a bit as far as making suggestions to people what they can use for homeopathy to help them with their own healing while they're healing from injuries that I help them with also, with manual therapy and exercise.
So Jane, you have a very interesting story about the clients that you work with and who you see and how you integrate homeopathy with physical therapy. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, we live in a very rural area, and I largely serve the Amish communities and around our state. And there's one very close to us, about 10 miles away. So that's the one I mainly serve. There's 200 families in that community. And then there's 3 other communities outlying about 40 minutes away in different directions. So they are very familiar and always interested in alternative medical. And they've been introduced to homeopathy in the past, especially their parents and the older ones, but they were unable to obtain it at some point from the companies they used to order from. So now they're so happy to have homeopathy back. In fact, Wendy hosted a on-site, in-person Gateway 1 in one day at the Amish community for about 30 different women that attended. That's kind of catapulted my practicing and knowledge of homeopathy so quickly because of being able to use it so often and the experience.
So you've told me that when you go and you have an appointment that you talk about physical therapy, but you also educate about homeopathy as well. And you get sometimes lots of calls. Give us an idea about how many people you help and how busy you are helping others.
Well, I'm definitely as busy as I want to be, but I work about 20 hours a week. So I see about 20, depending on how long it takes for one session of physical therapy and massage. But I often get many calls. So in the Amish community, of course, they have several children. Many of them do. So I see a lot of prenatal visits for physical therapy and massage. And with that being said, the pregnancy protocols, I give them information on that. Several of them use the calc carbonica, the protocol that they have for the 8 months, and the pulsatilla at the last month. I have 2 daughters that had breech pregnancies toward the end. So even my own daughters, I mean, they use it all of the time. But one of them, I consulted with the homeopath. She said she could start taking it at 33 weeks, the Pulsatilla. And each time it's been 100% turning those babies, which might have in the past been a C-section.
That's very exciting.
So yes.
So you are very busy and you told me earlier, every kind of animal that you can think of on your farm. Mm-hmm. And you have we were talking earlier about horses and your children training horses. And how many horses did you say that you have?
We have 12 here, and then we bring in horses that we train for 30 days at a time.
And 5 babies on the way, huh?
Yes, 5 babies on the way in May.
Very fun. I bet you have some stories using homeopathy with horses or some of your other animals.
One this year, in particular, we have about 60 ewes. We raise hair sheep, so they've been lambing. And in February, we had a little lamb that was kind of cold, and it was laying in front of the stove in a box, and it was very tiny. It was a twin, and it wasn't getting up and laying there. And my 15-year-old son for sure thought it had died. Well, I went and got carbo veg, and I popped it in its mouth underneath its lip. And my son turned his back and turned around, and the lamb popped up and wasn't standing.
Oh, my gosh.
Carbo veg is the corpse reviver.
Yeah,
it really works.
Yeah, I've heard that from so many people who have a lot of animals that the carbo veg can turn an animal around from being deathly ill to just
in
like
literally
you said.
Seconds. He always kind of giggles when I get out my pellets, but that time he was just so impressed.
So
yes.
Are your kids learning how to use homeopathy as well?
Oh, definitely. Yes. Yeah. 2 of my daughters took Gateway 1 with me, and one of them is a massage therapist. So she actually uses it a lot. She makes some suggestions, and she's often calling me.
So exciting to see our kids learn and then use the medicine. Yeah. Any other animal stories?
We had a horse with a cut leg, and we were using calendula on that. And I think it was hyperarse. Yes.
For an infection.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's a combination of hypericum and arsenicum. And that's a protocol for infection. And then the calendula, were you using topically or?
Topical, yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And symphytum, I think we were using.
Okay. So I know you have a lot of stories, and it's hard to narrow down which ones to share, but give us a few more.
One is Pulsatilla again. So the Pulsatilla child that Joette has talked about, the emotional up and down. I have a 3-year-old grandson. My daughter-in-law and son live about 3 hours away. My daughter-in-law wasn't ever sold on homeopathy, but didn't ever really say anything, right? I was always offering it and when they'd get hurt, I'd use aconidium and arnica and things like that. Well, one day, he was having meltdown after meltdown, and I offered Pulsatilla. They took it, gave it to him. Boom, he calmed down in less than 3 minutes. That had never happened before. Then later that week, they texted me and asked me what the P word was that I gave him. And that is what converted my daughter-in-law. And I'm telling you, she was a hard nut to crack. And I gave them the book. They ordered kits, and she has been using it ever since. She had a baby in January, had a breast infection. She used belladonna every 1 to 4 minutes, and then keep herself, and using that to heal 2 times a day. And she said it brought her right out of it. The last baby she had, she ended up going into the hospital with it.
You mean the before she had homeopathy? Yeah.
Yes, before she had homeopathy and her last child, the child before that.
Yeah.
So they could not believe it. So they use it now all the time.
You have some situations where some emotional things have happened.
Okay, so I have friends that about a year and a half ago, our friend's husband committed suicide. He has 10 children himself, and he came from a large family. And they asked for help. I went right over to their house the day it happened and took them Aurum Metallicum 200. That really helped his siblings and his parents and his wife and his children. I actually had to water dose the Aurum Metallicum right away, and then ordered it as soon as I could get it. Yeah. And then later they started using the Ignatia 200 2 times a day. We keep in very close contact with them, and they still use the Ignatia to tend, manage their feelings of sadness and as things come up.
So when you talk about water dosing, I just want to make it clear what I heard you say is that you maybe didn't have that much of it. And so you put some of the pellets in water, and that way several people could take sips of that, and that would be considered a dose of that medicine.
Exactly.
Yeah, what a difficult situation. How amazing was it, though, that you could go there and help them in this way? Mm-hmm. And I can't even imagine. So I hope they're doing okay. And I'm sure
they are. They still have their ups and downs, but they are really managing the best they can.
Jane, I know you have another story about a niece and what you've been helping her with.
Actually, and I referred her on to Wendy because it was more complicated case that, I definitely know my limitations as far as complicated cases go, or, things like that. So she had been working with Wendy, coming off of all of her seizure and her anxiety meds. She's 25, has been on them for at least 8 years. And it did take quite a while, but she's off of everything and has been off of everything for 4 months now, and only taking homeopathic remedies and checking in with the homeopath every month, I think.
Wow. So, and I would imagine she's also keeping in touch with her doctor and just making sure that as she went off those meds that, that
definitely.
In conjunction. Yeah. Yeah.
They weaned her off those meds. She got their permission, and she goes in for her regular doctor visits as well.
Yeah. Oh, what a gift. Yeah. Wendy's a special person. That's great that she could work with her.
I use homeopathy for myself as well, just because of my busy life and the way things go and things that have happened over the last couple of years and my age. I use my sepia regularly, Ignatia when I need it for help sleeping, or Coffee cruda. And I use the combo remedy Sleep Calm sometimes. So those are all great tools that help me stay balanced in my own life.
Yeah, those are good medicines. I love that. Sleeping can sometimes be such a problem, and what a gift it is to have something that you can use to help with that, because we all know that if you're sleep deprived, it's just much harder to get through your day. So, yeah.
I have one more story that I should really tell about my husband.
Yeah.
He had an umbilical hernia, very large, the size of a baseball. And we were able to reduce that. And he takes Lyco Plum combo. He completely healed it. And if he does lift too much or exerts himself too much and it starts to come back, he just starts on the Lyco Plum again.
Okay. And that's a combination remedy protocol that's Lycopodium and Plum Balm mixed together. If you want to learn more about using homeopathy for hernias, it's called Hernias and Homeopathy. So that will be posted with the transcript from this audio as well.
And that works with all hernias. I've used it for babies' hernias and hiatal hernias that were definitively diagnosed.
I've heard many stories about this protocol working for hernias. Yeah. Good job. So Jane, it sounds like you've been very busy using homeopathy all the time with animals and friends and family. And what are your plans to continue studying, or what recommendations do you have for those who are listening who want to be able to help their animals or friends just like you're doing?
Well, my journey has been taking the Gateway 1 and getting hooked. And I've taken that 3 times. I've just had the ability to do that with Wendy, repeating it.
Yeah.
Gateway 2 times. And I've taken the Feminopathy class because that's a lot of the people that I see, the women and young women and even older women. So that's been very, very helpful. I would love to go to the academy, and I don't know if that's God's will, and he's going to open those doors for me to take that this year or next year. We're praying about that. And yes, so the academy would be the next step for me.
So for those who don't know, Joette has a Academy of Practical Homeopathy, and that is a 1-year school online. And it starts in July each year. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, we will provide a link that you can sign up to get some emails and find out more information about the Academy. It's a school where you can come in and learn more about practical homeopathy. It has all the basics about homeopathy and going into case taking and just really a full 1-year education in what you need to know to help your family. And for those who are interested in going on and helping others like Jane is doing, helping other people and seeing clients, that information will be provided with the transcript on Joette's website. So yeah, that's a really good goal. And I would imagine until that time, you're going to keep taking, whether it's courses or sticking with Wendy and repeating those Gateway to Homeopathy classes. Jane, it's been so fun talking to you. I know that you have many more stories that you could share. As we wrap up today, do you have anything that you want to share with the listeners?
I just want to say I'm humbled to be here with you, Kate. And since I was introduced to Practical Homeopathy and Joette and her website, I love homeopathy. It has empowered me as a mother and to bring health, not only healing back to me and our home, but safely and care for ourselves and our family and all the other people that we've been able to help.
That's so exciting. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and look forward to hearing many more stories about your successes with homeopathy. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Kate.
It's my honor to share many lessons on this simple method of using homeopathy for free without affiliates or advertising here in my podcasts, but also my blog posts and Monday Night Lives. But it's critical that you learn how to use these medicines properly. These podcasts should serve as only the beginning of your training. Peruse Joette'sLearningCenter.com to find fun study group opportunities and in-depth courses developed by subject. So with the proper training, you can join the thousands of students before you in developing the confidence and competence to protect the health of your family and loved ones with my brand of homeopathy, Practical Homeopathy.
You just listened to a podcast from internationally acclaimed homeopath, public speaker, and author, the founder of the Academy of Practical Homeopathy, Joette Calabrese. Joette's podcasts are available on all your favorite podcast apps. To learn more and find out if homeopathy is a good fit for your health strategy, visit PracticalHomeopathy.com.